teaching MBA candidates in a business school. And so the materials that I will be teaching you are primarily around business planning. So I'm your business teacher here in this program. And we're going to focus on trying to get you to have stronger, better business plans. Not because you're not already up and running. Almost everybody who made it in already has a business that's up and running. But we want to see you grow your businesses, just like you want to see you grow your businesses. And what we found that helps the best to do that is to sit back and take some time and do strategic planning. Do the things you've been putting off for months or years. Sit down, think about where you want this company to go. Do that in a structured manner that I'll teach you. And then if all goes well, you'll have a much bigger business in the next year or two. All right. And I'll leave it at that. And you'll see some of it in about 45 minutes.
Hello.
Now, before introducing or having Sean introduce himself and just share a few words about what the Land Accelerator means to the restoration movement, I'd want to remind everybody, if they speak French, can you please look for the globe at the bottom and select French, and you'll be able to hear that. I want to invite either Bridget or Michelle to write a little note in the chat box so everybody can read it if they're able to do that, directing the French speakers to look for the globe at the bottom of the screen. So now I'd like to have Sean say a few words. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Amanda. And yeah, welcome to everyone to the 2021 cohort of the Land Accelerator Africa. Congratulations to each of you. You probably saw the numbers that Amanda presented, 1,300 applicants, and you're part of the 100 that are moving forward. So congratulations to each of you. It's a real honor to be here with you. And first, I want to say, thank you for having the courage to be an entrepreneur. This is not an easy journey, but a very rewarding journey. So thank you for that. And also just to say thank you for having the courage to work toward a regenerative future. For you, for me, for our children, this is a new space. It's not easy to be an entrepreneur, and it's even harder to be an entrepreneur in a new emerging space. But I think it's also so much more exciting to be in this space. You're real pioneers, and so I want to say how much I appreciate what you're doing. And indeed, you're on the front lines of a few different crises, right? You're on the front lines of our climate crisis. You're on the front lines of our food security crisis. And you're on the front lines of our jobs crisis. So you're really working at the center of a lot of solutions that we need for the future of our planet and our people. And, small business has always been the engine of job creation everywhere. This is true here in the United States, where I'm based. 64% of the new jobs that have been created in the United States are from small business. This is most of the jobs. So we hear a lot about the Amazons and the Googles and the Walmarts and the large companies, but the job creator is small business. You are the job creator. And so again, I want to say thank you. Around the world, there have been a lot of commitments to restore our planet. This is very exciting. There's been more than 4,000 companies and municipalities and universities that have stepped forward to make net zero commitments. There have been more than 70 countries that have committed to the Bond Challenge, more than 210 million hectares committed to the Bond Challenge to restore these areas. And with the Africa 100, the AFR 100 initiative, we see 30 African countries stepping forward to say, we want to restore, now there's 125 million hectares that have been committed. So we're seeing a lot of commitment, we're seeing a lot of will. But now we're entering a new phase. And this new phase is all about implementation. It's the question of how does this get done? And you again are the pioneers. There's not a playbook on exactly how we realize our regenerative future. And then collectively, the 100 of you are writing that playbook of how we deliver on that promise. And we have to deliver on that promise for the future, again, of its planet and of our people. So again, I want to thank you for doing in an era where there's a lot of talk, which is important. We need our strategies, and each of you have a business plan. Each of you have a company that's working, and you're going to be working to improve that plan. But you're also doing. You're walking the talk. And again, I want to thank you for that, and to know that we're here to provide our own humble support to your efforts, and that you're not alone, and that you're here with 99 other companies and with us as partners to help on this journey. So with that, I encourage you to make the most of this experience. Like most experiences, the more you put in, I think the more you will get out. Listen to the experts, ask questions. As you heard from Luni, he's been doing this for 30 years. Ask him your questions. But also, in addition to the experts, get to know each other. Seek the others, because you're all on a journey together. You're all working on slightly different models. You're working in different places, but you're on a journey together to realize this regenerative future. And so with that, I wish you all the best. I wish you all success, and really look forward to getting to know you and your companies on this journey. So thank you very much for your time.
And thank you, Sean. At this moment, I'd like to invite Teko Nlapo forward from ALDA NEPAD to make presentations on behalf of his organization. Teko, are you available at your microphone?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Amanda. It's Mamadou Diakite who is going to present the remarks on behalf of the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD's CEO, Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Teko, and good morning, good evening, colleagues, participants. And yes, I will be reading this statement on behalf of Dr. Mayaki, CEO of AUDA NEPAD, who is very supportive of the AFR 100 initiative, but could not make it today. So I think we all agree that there is a business case for restoring land now. Now this is a given, and developing sustainable food land use business models overall could be worth $2.3 trillion and provide 70 million jobs globally by 2030, it was estimated. So my name is Mamadou Diakite, and I'm currently the acting head of Environmental Sustainability Division at the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, based in Johannesburg, South Africa. And I'm also the manager of the AFR 100 Secretariat, which is one of the main actors of this initiative. And we know that AFR 100 has come a long way since its launch in December 2015 in Paris at the margin of the UNFCCC COP21, and has made tremendous progress with its goal to bring 100 million of hectares of degraded land and forests by 2030. The African Union Development Agency, NEPAD, is very pleased that currently we have 30 African member states and also technical partners, financial partners who have committed more than 126 million hectares of land, which is 26 million more than the initial commitments of 100 million of hectares. And this shows, as we always say, that this is an African-led and African-owned initiative. This is very important to emphasize all the time. However, across the world, Companies like you with a wide range of business models are creating businesses and generating incomes, profits from planting trees and transforming agriculture. These and your restoration business are proving that restoring degraded forests, agricultural land is not only good for the planet, but also is a good business opportunity for all. And you, the entrepreneurs, are the secret solution. Therefore, AFR 100 will never reach its goal without putting young Africans and women entrepreneurs at the core of its work and programs. I have been informed that there was more than 1,300 startups that have applied to the program this year, and you are the 100 lucky first ones. This just signals to us that there is a strong interest in being part of the solution and working towards a sustainable Africa by tackling climate change, desertification, conserving biodiversity, and also, very important, creating jobs at the same time. In the end, we all want to restore forest ecosystems and improve livelihoods of our local communities. AFR 100 is therefore more just than planting trees. It is about restoring land, livelihood, so that people reap the benefit of a healthy landscape. We hope that with this first $5,000 launch pad, that it will get you a step closer to your landscape dream. The United Nations Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, as well as the United Nations Decade on Family Farming, will also contribute to the AFR 100 initiative by building momentum and political will, creating awareness, advocacy, and technical and financial capacities at all levels. Therefore, building inclusive forest landscape restoration systems that could help fight and green the current pandemic of the COVID-19. Welcome to the Africa Forest Landscape Restoration Movement family, and wishing you all the best for the next 3 months and beyond. I thank you very much.
Thank you for those warm words, Mamadou, as well, and really appreciate the partnership there. Now, moving on to the next session, the next part is wanted to check out and give everybody a little look into how people have voted. So if you can check back to the voting link, I'm not sure if Samuel has the link available. I think I do. So I'm going to throw it in the chat one more time because we're about to present the results, and it's also live. So if you haven't done it yet, go vote. And I'm going to share my screen and go over who's here today. Let's see, where's my share screen? Okay, and here we are. So the first question we asked is, where is everybody coming from today? We didn't have any from North Africa. You see Southern Africa, Eastern and Western Africa highly represented. We've got 56 of the 101 people who've joined us today voting. So do again, check that chat box, and you can check the chat box again and you can get counted. So next question that we had, let me see, I can move forward. I'm trying to move forward. Yeah. All right, is what are the different ways that people are restoring land? So we see the largest responses today are coming from sustainable and organic agricultural practices, followed by trees on farms, agroforestry, or silvopasture. We have a few companies who say they are doing agricultural and restoration inputs, some non-timber forest products, which include things such as honey or nuts, seeds, leaves. And we have a few people saying they're doing avoided deforestation. So again, if you haven't voted, go for it. You can see these numbers are updating live, so it's really fun. Next point, I'm trying to click forward, is the type of finance we're most interested in. Everybody wants free money. Cool. Well, where you're going to get your big money is going to be from debt and equity. But you're in the right place, of course, because everybody who is here today in the top 100 is eligible for that $5,000 Innovation Launchpad grant. We'll be talking about that later today. How much revenue does your business have today? We have 51 people who've responded to this so far, and you can see the various levels of revenue. And how am I feeling today? Looks like our speakers got you motivated and excited and happy. So we're really excited for all of you guys to be here. And then let me see, moving to the next point, I think we're going to start to talk about the structure of the program. Now, oh no, actually, we're going to go a little bit more into some of the demographics of who's making up this 100 folks. Samuel, would you prefer to share the screen, or I can share it? Please just let me know.
Yes, thanks, Amanda. Let me share from my end, if it's okay.
Perfect. We'll let you know once it comes up.
Okay, sure. Just in a minute. Okay. Yeah, sharing. So let me know once it's there.
It's loading. Loading, not there yet. If it's not, oh, wait, just loaded. Yep, perfect. Perfect.
You can see it, huh?
Yep.
Good, thank you. Thank you, Amanda, and thank you so much to Mamadou and Sean for joining us today. We equally were supposed to have our Africa Regional Director, who also is the Vice President at WRI. She did send her apologies, and she'll be able to join us in the subsequent classes. So please do accept her apologies. Our Regional Director, Wanjira Madai. So I'll be taking you through the demographics. And the demographics here, we'll be looking at who is in this call, the top 100. Also, I'll be taking you through the process that we were able to go through to be able to achieve the top 100, as well as start sharing about the program structure. I'm not sure what's happening with my laptop is hanging. Amanda, let me know if you can see it, or please help me share, Amanda. Yeah, just a minute.
I think you're there now.
Okay, you can see it, sorry.
Yep.
I think the internet connection, I'm actually online. Yeah, yep. Sure.
Perfect.
Good. Yeah, so I'll be able to take you through the demographics of who is here. And before I do that, let me first also congratulate everybody who made to the top 100. As it has been mentioned earlier, we did get overwhelming applications. In total, we had over 1,300, should be the highest since we started the Land Accelerator in different continents. So what we did was actually to assemble a selection committee comprising of our lead trainer, who is Luni. We also had AUD and NEPAD represented, and ourselves from WRI, that is Amanda and myself. And this is the committee that actually went through all the over 1,000 applications, and we were able to come up with the final list. And good to mention that we did this in consultation with other staff from AUD and NEPAD, WRI, and also CEDA, who is the main donor for this initiative. What we were actually looking at is we wanted at the end of the day to ensure that we have 50% of businesses being owned by women entrepreneurs. And also we also wanted to incorporate the youth. 50% of you are actually youth. And also we wanted to ensure that there is diversity in terms of representation from the different countries. And good to mention that we have 34 countries represented in the top 100. So in terms of the gender, what we see overall, we have 40% being women, and also we have women as co-founders with over 50%. This, what you're seeing on the screen, is based on the welcoming survey that you were able to fill. So we see 69.9% being male. So I'm missing 10% from females. So if you have not been able to fill the welcome survey, please do. And we'll actually automatically update this slide. So in terms of the restoration practices, and we have been able to see from the Menti, we do have a diverse of restoration practices. We have seen most of you doing sustainable agriculture, in organic farm inputs. We see a number of you being in the reforestation, and also non-timber forest, among others, as you can be able to see on the screen, which is something good. There is diversity, and I'm sure there's quite a lot we can be able to learn from each other. Access to finance, access to investment is very key. And as we have seen from the welcoming poll, most of you really want to access investments. And we did ask this before, whether you have been able to access investment. And we are seeing 68% of you saying, no, we have not been able to raise money, perhaps due to different reasons that we can be able to tackle as we move forward with the program. So almost all of you want money. That's evident. We have seen that, and we'll be able to work with you to support you in this. So even as you access financing, there are things that you need to put in order. One of it is the financial records, and happy to note that majority of you are actually keeping the financial record. Some of you still need support, and again, we'll be able to walk the journey with you. Environmental impact and social impact are some of the things that we were looking at from the application, and happy to note that most of you, majority of you are actually having this. So in terms of the environmental impact, from the top 100, what we are seeing is that on average, 536 hectares was restored last year. And we see that over 19,000 trees were actually planted in 2020 by the top 100. It is our hope by the end of the program, we'll be able to create an impact, and you can be able to double these, if not triple. In terms of the social impact, good to mention that majority of you are working with a number of smallholder farmers. So in total, from the top 100, we are seeing over 47,000 small scale farmers being supported by your business, which is something good, because as you grow, then you're able to trickle the same effect to the small scale farmers. Also, we are seeing most of you creating employment, and good to note that on average, you are supporting 140 employees, which is something good. And again, we hope that we'll be able to double this, if not triple. The other thing that we did ask you is, even as we move on with the program, we would like to get to hear from you, just to have that one-on-one with you, to be able to get to hear from you if you have any issues with the program, listen to your ideas, support you where necessary. So we did ask you when you can be available, and happy to note that majority of you are available on Thursdays from 6 p.m. Kenya time. And so we'll actually create time, myself and Amanda, just to have this session where you can be able to approach us and we can be able to discuss anything. So on Thursdays from 6 p.m. Kenya time, we will be available for you. So feel free to schedule a meeting with us. Just more group statistics. Good to mention that 43 of you do have website, and we hope that all of you by the end of the program will have a website. So we'll be able to support you. We'll give you all the necessary templates and support to see that you have the website. In terms of the revenue, people are in different categories. So we have those who are just starting, and we have those who are actually making over 1 million euros. So in terms of average, we do have 171,000 from the top 100, which is something good. And we can't overemphasize that 34 African countries are actually represented here. Yeah, so those are the demographics, Amanda. Maybe if there is a question, I can be able to answer. Thank you.
If anyone has a question, just write it in the chat box. But besides that, I think we can go on to the program structure. I think, Samuel, would you want to continue on with that portion?
Okay, yeah, sure. I can do that. Thanks so much, Amanda. So we do have quite a lot in line for you, just to be able to see that you benefit from the program. We want to see your business grow. And as Mabadu said, that we are committed to be able to support you fully. And we'll do this with all mighty that we can. So please accord us the necessary support, and definitely will benefit. So in terms of the program structure, so we have phase 1, and also we do have phase 2. So I'll take you through phase 1, and then Amanda can take you through phase 2. So phase 1, we ran between May to July this year. So we have just started, and we are ready to run. And this will entail working with you, the top 100. And we anticipate to have 12 weeks weekly session, and we'll be able to do this virtually. So we'll do via Zoom, and the Zoom call will actually take 2 hours. So we start with 30-minute networking session that like what we have done today. And here we'll be networking, and it's also an opportunity to provide program updates, and also an opportunity to be able to listen from different entrepreneurs, getting to have coaches, getting to have peer-to-peer review, and also sharing what we feel would be beneficial to the program. So this is optional. But we encourage everyone to actually join. So our meeting time will be every Tuesday, same time as we started today, from 6 p.m. Kenyan time. But we'll be starting officially at 6:30. So yeah. And then for the office hours, as I mentioned, that is 6 to 7 every Thursday. So feel free to reach out to us. And also we'll be having, between May and July, we'll be having peer meetings. So here we encourage you to schedule a meeting with at least 3 members in the top 10. And just to be able to discuss about business, share about your country, have that peer-to-peer review, support each other where necessary, and we'll be able to support you also to be able to create those meetings. But we encourage you to use the mighty networks that we are going to share about it later in this call. Why is it important to attend a weekly session? So exposure to new ideas. We also want to integrate new business practices. As you have heard, we have diverse businesses represented here, small, medium, big. So feel free to interact. Access to templates and good practices that will show the world you mean business. We are also here to support to improve your company generally, and you can do this by attending the weekly sessions. So innovation grants, this has been mentioned. Amanda did say that all of you here, the top 100, you qualify to get the 5,000 USD. So you'll be provided, you'll be expected to meet some certain criteria. So we'll need you to apply by August 1st by submitting documents. So don't worry about that. We'll provide guidelines. So we also require you to attend 9 sessions out of 12. That will be 75% attendance. And what we'll do is every session we'll be having an attendance schedule that we'll administer. So we'll actually gauge on that. And I'm sure Amanda will talk about attendance policy as we move on. So the documents to include, we expect you to bring application form, which asks you the use of funds and how it will benefit your business, 10 to 12 slide presentation, and perhaps another document as identified on. So we'll share this, so no worries. So why the need to apply? So entrepreneurs are busy. These communities are forced to keep you accountable to yourself, encourages you to seek new ideas through the trainings and networking session, as well as innovation is the growth engine for startups. Yes,
Thanks so
Amanda,
much.
Yeah, maybe you can
Thanks
take
so
over.
much, Samuel. Yeah, of course. And we're going to take a few minutes for questions after I finish up the phase 2. Then, of course, we'll be hearing from Luni, which is going to be the most exciting part of the day, honestly. So phase 2, we do want to let everybody know that the way that we developed this program this year is we have been offering it to around 15 companies in each region each year. And we realize that's not enough. So we want to reach out and really involve the top 100 companies. We're really lucky to have the opportunity to do that from Africa. However, we also thought that we'd take an amazing opportunity to have this 3 months of training, this 12 weeks of training, and really apply it so that we can still provide 10 to 15 companies with really targeted support. So this new innovation in our program is actually an innovation that's that's benefiting all of you, because instead of us just looking at 1,300 applications and selecting who's the top 10 or 15 just from an application, we're really going to get to see how your businesses grow and change over time. And everyone here who attends the trainings, seeks different help during office hours and submits their documents for feedbacks, really going to have the opportunity to improve their business. So we think that this format really allows a broader group of entrepreneurs to really have a chance at becoming the top 10 or 15. So it is based on who can communicate their value the most, obviously, but now we're really trying to share tools so that everybody can communicate themselves and have an equal footing, access to information and best practices, templates, and exposure to community members such as investors and former alumni of the Land Accelerator. So all that to say, phase 2 is really set up to accelerate the top 10 to 15 that will be selected from among all of you. Now, again, not everybody would have to apply, but everybody's invited and encouraged to apply. And an application, again, really is, a few of the things we mentioned before. We're going to have a specific form for it, just so that we know you're interested and want to take advantage of that extra support that we'll be providing in phase 2. And there might be a few other things, such as maybe a requirement that you have built a website. Perhaps we might require a 1 to 3 minute video. So we will definitely get those requirements out to you guys plenty of time in advance. But right now, just realize that everybody is going to be invited to join us for phase 2, to apply to join us for phase 2. Some of the benefits include group mentorship sessions. And what I mean by that is you, as one entrepreneur, presenting your business to a room full of 3 or 4 or 5 mentors who are all there giving you feedback from different points of view. So it's like a really fast-paced way to get a lot of feedback based on all the work you've been doing, your entire business, and the 3 months at the Land Accelerator. We're going to review your slide decks, your financial projections, and your investor ask. So you'll get someone like myself, Samuel, Luni, or one of our mentors to really give you personalized feedback on how to make that better, all in preparation for our Impact Day. Impact Day is when we ask the 10 or 15 companies to present their companies in front of investors and also the community. If travel becomes possible towards the end of the year, around October, we will hold an in-person event in Kenya that the top 10 to 15 will be invited to. And also people who come on to phase 2 will have access to additional funding. So next slide, please. Why is phase 2 cool? Why do you want to be a part of it? Obviously, access to personalized mentorship, exposure to investors, and access to additional funding. I know we're going to get a lot of questions about funding. I think one of the main questions might be, how much is available? We're still collaborating with many of our funding partners. I think you saw a few of them there to see how much will be available. But I can say that each company would be able to apply for anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000. And that would depend on the needs of the company and the ability of the company to grow with that kind of money. So next slide. Next slide, I just wanted to introduce you. A lot of people had taken advantage of the Mighty Networks invitation link. So everybody has access to Mighty Networks, and this is what we're going to use in order to, in order to communicate with one another. So how you can find it is you go to mightynetworks.com. You see the email address right there in the slide. And then you look for the link that says sign in. And once you see sign in, it's going to ask you to enter the name of your community. Our community name is the Land Accelerator. So you see, you start typing it and it pops up, boom. So it's a little bit different than most ways to sign in, but once you get used to it, it's very easy. So then you click on Land Accelerator and we'll go to the next slide. What is happening there? So we're going to have basically a chat room. It's like a private Facebook group for everybody from this community. I've already seen a lot of people introducing themselves and commenting and saying that they like each other's business models. So we definitely want to see that. There's also spaces for people to ask questions and get answers on different topics. We're going to put the recordings from our sessions there, as well as our PowerPoint presentations. And it's it's a central location for key program documents as well. Also interesting to note is there is a mobile version too, which you'll see basically once you sign up for it. You can sign up from it on your phone or on your computer. I'm going to drop a link in the chat box. But next slide. I just wanted to show you a screenshot just to show you what it's going on so far. So this is real, this is you guys writing here. You might even see maybe Samuel or Julius is on the line today. People are introducing themselves. So that's the home page. And then you can check out who all the other, go ahead, go back. You can check out who all the other members are. You can read about the Land Accelerator. But the interesting thing there is the topics, which is where you can have specific topic discussions, and then what we call cohorts, which is where you can actually find all the links to our recordings and our PowerPoint presentations. So that was just an overview. I'm going to put a link in the chat once we're done with this, so people can continue to sign up. I think we're ready for Q&As, however. So if there are, I'm going to put that link in the chat box in a moment. So if there are Q&As, let us know. I think you could put a question in the chat box, might be the easiest way. And then if we don't see any question and answers, that's also fine, because we'll invite Luni to come on at this time. So let me put the invite to Mighty Networks in the chat box, so anyone who hasn't joined it can, because we've got over, I think 40 people have joined it so far. But everybody should go ahead and join it. So the link is right there. I think that will let you all join it and start to look around. In the meantime, any questions, go ahead and start to ask them. And I see Luni's already pulling up his slides. It's just fantastic. We can also take questions at the end. So I'd like to pass the mic to Luni, and thank you guys all for listening about the program. Yep, Luni, we're
Oh
ready
yeah,
when
you got to remember how to take yourself off of mute when you want to speak, and how to put yourself back on mute when you're not speaking. Welcome to Tuesday. So Tuesday is the name of a book I haven't written yet, and I'm going to teach you a little bit, the little idea that hopefully will help your business by a lot. Real quick though, this is a visual version of my background. I've said this 3 times already. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I spent 20 years in tech. So I spent 20 years building software companies here in Seattle, funded by California venture capitalists and angels. And then the last 9 years, I've been running Fledge and a whole bunch of offshoots of Fledge, including Africa Eats and a nonprofit called Realize Impact. All right, hopefully some of you recognize this book. It's a really good book. It's called The Lean Startup. It's one of the most popular books there is in the world of entrepreneurship. And I'll summarize it in 2 slides for you. The Lean Startup came out in about 2011. And the biggest idea, the one that took off, was this idea of an MVP, a minimal viable product, which is not something Eric came up with. He's just the person who named it. So a lot of us had been doing this style of startups for years, over a decade before this. But Eric's language and description of this methodology of getting a product into market really just resonated with the community here in the States and around the world. And these days, whenever I go anywhere in the world to teach, people generally know what an MVP is. So if you don't, it's minimal viable product. It's coming up with the smallest, simplest thing you can think of that solves a problem that the customers would actually pay for, right? That's what the viable is. And something they can actually buy right now. So the old ways that we used to start startups, that we used to start companies, is to have an idea and go talk to a lot of people about it and try and figure out what they wanted, and then stop talking to them for 6 months while we figured out how to build it, and then bring it to the market and then discover what we got wrong. And what Eric came up with was this idea that no, you should talk to a few people, get some idea of what they need, and then go build the smallest thing you can as quickly as possible, ideally in days or weeks, and then launch it as a real product. And then you'll find out much quicker from the world what you got wrong, and you probably got something wrong. And then you can fix it. Now, the second thing that's in this book is this idea that you should run a business. You should run a young business, which most of you have, in the same style that you do science, in the scientific method. And in the scientific method, what you do is you come up with a hypothesis for something that you think is true, something you think you need to change, some new way to solve a problem, some new way to reach customers. There's lots of different things you can come up with in business, but you just have an idea. Hypothesis is you don't know whether it's true or not. You just think it's true. Then you do something. You run a test to see if you're right. You have to have a measurement to find out whether or not you're right or not. And then you learn from that process, and then you repeat it. So in the book, he has this loop here of this scientific method. But what the book doesn't tell you is how quickly do you need to iterate through this loop. He tells you it's important to keep doing this past the MVP. The MVP is just your first hypothesis. But he doesn't really tell you how. So that's where this Tuesday book comes in. And it's named after an actual conversation that took place in a room here in Seattle, like 15 years ago. So back then I was a techie. I was the CTO of my company, and I was hanging out in an after hours meeting with a whole bunch of other people who were just like me, other CTOs, co-founders of startups. And we were talking about this early ideas of changes and hypotheses and whatnot. And someone in the room was from Facebook. I presume all of you know what Facebook is. It was a little more obscure back then, but we all knew what Facebook was. This was the person who started the Facebook office here in Seattle. Facebook's a California company, but they have an office here, and probably 1,000 people work up here now. And the person in the back of the room from Facebook says, did you guys know we ship product every Tuesday? And no, we didn't know that at the time. And so really what he meant by we ship every Tuesday is that they come up with a bunch of changes that they think are important to the product. They work on them all week long, and then they make them live on Tuesday. And they don't always make them live for every single one of their customers. So this is why Facebook doesn't change completely. They're not changing everything, but they change something every Tuesday or a bunch of different things. And then they find out whether it works or not. And if it does, they keep it. And if it doesn't, they throw it away. And then there was a little bit of laughter from the person in the other corner of the room. Yes. Amanda, can you do the mute thing? And so there was some other laughter over in the other corner of the room, and that person was from Amazon. And he was laughing because he said Amazon ships every 6 seconds. Right, so I'm going to mute you. So if you're not speaking, just.
I found out how to do it. Sorry, I didn't know how to do it for a second. Thanks. And now you need to
in the participants tab, you just hit mute on people.
Yep.
Okay. So the person in the back of the room from Amazon just laughed and said, well, every week we ship every 6 seconds. And maybe that's true. Maybe that's a little bit of hyperbole. Maybe it's exaggerated. But what they meant was Amazon is not one big piece of software that can change once a week. It's a lot of different pieces of software. And so we're always making changes. We're making changes constantly. We're running experiments constantly. And so, of course, your company is nowhere near the size of Amazon or Facebook, right? They're multi-billion-dollar companies. They're actually multi-trillion-dollar, over $1 trillion worth companies now. But you can learn from this. And the importance on how you learn from this is to embed it in your corporate culture. So not just take this idea and run with it once and try it out, but actually think about how you make this part of the culture of your company, that you are going to do changes on a periodic basis. And when you make it part of your culture, it keeps happening. The rest of your team pushes to make it happen. The rest of your team says, well, what happened to this Tuesday change? And you're going to pick a cadence that works for you. So it may be weekly, but it may be less often than that. But before we get to that, so what do we mean by this culture of Tuesday changes? Well, you're going to think about and sit down, and part of your management meeting is going to be, what can you change in your product? But it doesn't have to be your product. What can you change in your internal process? What can you change in operations to make your company work better? Or on your marketing side, what can you do on the marketing side in social media or radio ads or flyers or billboards or something? What can you do on a Tuesday to change that? And then you also have to think about, how many Tuesdays does it take to make the change? How many Tuesdays does it take to see if the change worked? So you're going to pick a cadence. Maybe the simplest cadence is once a month. So you can say, all right, every first Tuesday of the month, we're going to do something new, right? Again, product, operations, something somewhere in the company. We're going to change. And the first Tuesday change you can make is to adopt the Tuesday changes, right? That can be the nice and simple one. And so if you do one change, one experiment per month, first Tuesday of each month, you now get 12 opportunities to learn from the market. That's really what this is all about. Learning from the market, learning from real customers as fast as you can. And so if you're not doing this methodology, you're probably making 1 or 2 small changes per year, maybe 3 or 4, but you're not making 12. And so you're going to learn faster if you do 12. And if you can do 1 per month, you can do 2 per month. So you can do the first and third Tuesdays of every month. That would give you 24 opportunities to learn from your customers, which is twice as fast as anybody doing once a month. And if you think about the idea that your competition is out there trying to learn about customers as well, all right, they're out there trying to do what you're doing. You need to learn faster than they learn. So if you can get up to the speed of 2 per month, then you can learn twice as fast as them, and you can find things that they don't know about, and you can grow much quicker. And you can tweak this just a little bit. Instead of doing twice a month, you could do every other week. And every other week is 2 more opportunities to learn that you didn't, per year, that you didn't have if you do it twice per month. And then if you make it all the way up to once a week, then you'll have 50 chances, right? There's 52 weeks in a year. Facebook only makes 50 weekly changes. They skip Christmas and New Year's. The rest of the weeks, they change on Tuesdays. So that's 50 times a year, compared to 12. And you're probably going to, waste a few of the 12. So this is like 5 times faster learning than if you do once a week changes. And yes, it's a lot more work. Doing something every week will take some time, but you'll get out of it way more than you put into it because you're going to learn so much more about your customers. So again, what kind of things are we talking about on Tuesday experiments? It can be anything. It can be the easiest ones to think about is changing something in your product, but it can be an internal thing like producing a financial report every Tuesday, changing a rule in your human resources, changing the way you do sick days, changing the way you do vacation time, changing the way you pay people, changing a KPI, changing a key performance indicator that you're measuring, or it could be a change in your culture, in your corporate culture, which most people don't wind up thinking about. So here's how you sit down and do it. So you're going to have a management meeting. You're going to sit around and explain this to them. We'll share the slides with you, so you can share the slides with them as well. And you're going to decide what's the change, what is the experiment, what's the hypothesis, what is the hypothesis you have that you think will improve your business, what is the expected results of this change that you're going to make. How do you measure? How do you know whether you succeeded or not? So you need a measurable way to say success or failure. And then you need a time frame. You need to pick a date when you know whether it succeeded or failed, or where you think you know it succeeded or failed. And so you measure over that number of Tuesdays. And simplest thing is just pick 1 Tuesday, 3 Tuesdays, 5 Tuesdays, 8 Tuesdays. Measure every Tuesday. And at the end of that number, you stick it on a board on the wall, or on a piece of paper on the wall. At the end of that time, you have a measurement or a series of measurements. You compare it against what you expected, and you should have a definitive results of yes or no, this was good. And then you repeat and do the next one. How often should you succeed? Well, excuse me. Most of them will fail. Most of your ideas will be wrong. And that's fine. That's part of this culture. Part of this idea is that it's a culture of trying things. It's trial and error, more errors than successes. You will learn way more from the failures than the successes. So maybe you'll get to 4 in 10 will be successes, but even if it's just 2 in 10, even if it's 2 in 10 and you're making 12 changes a year, right? That's 2 or 3 will succeed, and you will have made 2 steps forward. If you get up to doing this once a week, so 50 times a year, and your success rate is just 2 in 10, that is 10 forward steps. That's 10 steps forward. That's 10 new things that you didn't know at the beginning of the year that now you know. And it's 40 things that you didn't know that are all wrong. 40 ways that your competitors can make mistakes that you now know you shouldn't do again, right? Or maybe some of them are just the wrong time and you have to try them again in another year. But it's 40 things you shouldn't do, 40 things that your competitors will try, and they'll try them slowly and they'll make more mistakes than you, and you'll pull ahead of them. All right, now how you scale this up. Assume this all works. I have companies that are doing this and succeeding wildly. So assume this works. How do you scale this up? Well, as your company gets bigger, as you have 20 people and then 30 people and then 40 people in your business, you start to have divisions. You start to have a marketing group. You start to have a sales group. You start to have an operations group, as opposed to 2 guys who do operations and 2 girls who do marketing for you. So once you have this in your culture and you have divisions, well, then you just do the Tuesday process per division. So you have product that's doing maybe twice a month, and you do operations that's maybe doing a small tweak every week, and maybe marketing and sales are doing once a month. But ultimately what happens is inside your company, you start to do 100 changes a year, 200 hypotheses a year, 400 changes a year. And now you're learning really fast. And before you know it, you are doing what Facebook and Amazon are doing, right? So within 2 or 3 years from now, you're not shipping every 6 seconds, but you're doing 1 or 2 or 3 changes per week. And you are learning really fast and understanding the market better than anyone else in the whole space in your country. So I'm going to leave you with a homework assignment. Your homework assignment is to pick a plan for Tuesday. So we happen to be meeting on Tuesdays here. So think about what you're going to do for next Tuesday in your company. What hypothesis do you have that you could change in your product or your operations or your marketing or whatever? Could be, I need a website. It could simply be, I don't have a good website. I need to make a good website or fix my website. What change do you make to do that is actually produce the website. How do you know whether it succeeds or fails on websites? We generally just measure it with page views. So how many page views do you have now? How many page views do you think you need to call it a success? How long are you going to give it to get those page views? Right. So how long until you call that a success or failure? And that would be a simple Tuesday change. Right. And then assignment number 2 is make a list of 5 more changes. So sit down with your management group and don't just come up with one. Don't just listen to my answer of I need a website, because maybe you don't. Right. A lot of companies in Africa, websites don't do anything for them. And so come up with a list of 5 things you could change, and then pick the best one, pick the most promising one to make your first one, and leave the other 4 on the list. You're going to choose a cadence as well. I didn't put that on the assignment. You're going to choose, when you sit down to do this, we're going to do monthlies or twice a month or weeklies. And then you keep this running list, because every time you sit down again, you're going to have new ideas. And sometimes the new ideas popped at the top of the list and the old ideas fall down the list. And by the time you do this for a few months, you just keep growing the list. You're probably going to wind up having a faster cadence, because what happens is you get too many ideas, especially at the beginning. People will have all these ideas that they want to try out. You can't do them all. You don't have the resources and the time to do them all. So you just pick one at a time, but keep the running list of all the other ideas, because they may actually spur some other ideas. And that is my lesson on Tuesdays.
Thank you so much, Luni. I want to invite anybody who has a few questions there. And I also wanted to share at this time to check the chat box. It's my favorite thing to say. This is how we're going to be doing attendance. So I've thrown a link to an attendance sheet there. Right now, we're at 36 minutes past the hour. So we'll close this link up on the hour. You will have you'll have about 30 minutes to fill it out. It's not hard. But basically, if you fill it out, you're here. If you don't fill it out, you weren't here. And this is what we're going to do for every time. And this gives us a little bit of feedback, but it also just shows that you're here. It's like an attendance score instead of an attendance sheet. Shouldn't take more than 3 minutes to fill out, even less. So go ahead and check that chat box, open it up. And while we have some question and answers for myself, Samuel, and Luni, you can be filling that out. Basically wanted to say thanks to Luni for that. I believe that Samuel and I are schooled on that, and we're going to take that as a personal mission to have our own running list of changes for the Land Accelerator. So hopefully folks here will be benefiting from your message as well. Then I do want to leave it open for questions. So if people have questions, maybe just put it in the chat box and then we'll ask you to speak. That being said, we are kind of at the end of our program. So we've done a good job at staying on time. So probably we'll take another 5 minutes here just to go over some next steps and what's going on. Samuel mentioned I would speak a little bit more about the attendance policy. And so in doing that, the attendance sheet was part of it. I think another thing that we can say is people might say, well, what if I actually can't be at an event that I know? Because, it's going to be weekly Tuesdays, the time, the place. What if I can't be there due to sickness or travel or something? We're going to send around after this, and we'll put it on Mighty Networks as well, kind of absentee request form. And basically you can just request to have the recording sent to you, and then you can do a little follow-up 1 or 2 paragraphs about what you've learned from it. So we want everybody to be able to hit the numbers of the attendance. So that will be going out to you afterwards. And our next meeting is going to be next Tuesday, which is the 11th, again at 6 o'clock Kenya time. And wanted to ask Luni, what kind of topics do you think we'll be talking next week?
Oh, I don't have the schedule in front of me.
Oh, okay. I thought that you just, yeah, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I think given what we were, I think the next one is no, actually, I'm not gonna guess because I don't want to.
I think we decided and we're just not looking at it. So we'll let you guys know. I see that Seyi is raising her hands with the questions. So Seyi, would you like to unmute yourself? I believe that was looking like a hand for a question. Yeah, if you'd like, you can unmute yourself. Okay, someone has.
Merci.
Okay, yes, Seyi, yes, go ahead.
Okay, merci de me donner la parole. Je suis Madame CI. Mais j'ai un souci parce que le link qu'on a donné pour s'inscrire pour les besoins de la liste de présence, je n'ai pas pu le noter. Mais est-ce que je peux avoir le lien pour la liste de présence? Inscrire.
Yes, the link for attendance is in the chat box. So you don't need to write it down. You can just click on it. And I saw another question before. This is a little bit about program structure. And the question was, who is eligible to apply for phase 2, or who is eligible to apply for the innovation grants? So just to put that in perspective a little bit, everyone here should be getting an innovation grant. The only thing you need to do is show up to class, submit some of the documents that will be guiding you along the way, and you're eligible for the $5,000 grant. So everybody here, through simple participation, will get the $5,000 grant, and that would be confirmed in the month of August. To move to phase 2, everyone who wants to is invited to apply. But we believe we'll probably have more applications than spaces available. So everyone here is eligible, but then we have selection criteria. The selection criteria is going to be very similar to the selection criteria with which you guys got into the program. You know, we're going to look at what is the impact that your business is having on the environment and your communities. We'll look at the likelihood that your business will be able to grow and increase that impact with additional mentorship that we'll be able to provide from the Land Accelerator. So those are the main things we're looking at, is impact, and scalability. Of course, as everyone here is a restoration business, you know, part of that impact is the ability to be financially sustainable. We don't need anybody to become millionaires, but we need it to be an opportunity that investors would like to see. And now we do see a few questions there. Samuel, would you like to run the question and answer session? I see a few people. Maybe you'd want to take their questions.
Yes, thanks so much, Amanda. I see Julius Opio is asking the assignment from Luni. He didn't get that, and just to quickly respond, we'll be able to share all the presentation and the assignment using the Mighty Network. So if you have not been able to join, please do, so as you can be able to get all the presentation. Let me also go through another one. There was a question regarding the co-founder, co-owner attending. Amanda, do you want to talk about that? Some clarification around that?
Oh, yes, sure. So somebody was asking, can a co-founder attend? Yes. So what we would ask everybody, if they have a co-founder who wants to attend with them, please fill out the welcome form and put their name and their email address in the welcome survey. Again, I put that in the chat box right there, the welcome survey. And we will take the email addresses that are left in that welcome survey, and we will send invitations to the folks who filled out that welcome survey. So again, if you haven't, go for it. If you did, then you don't need to anymore. So that would be happening. And then, let me see. Is there another question?
There are 3 hands raised.
Yep,
Yeah.
let's,
Some more hands.
so how about Izela? Would you like to speak your question? Okay, so Azela typed her question. If you'd like, Azela, you can unmute yourself anytime. I'll just start to read it. Would you like to say it?
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, ask your question.
Yeah, I was saying that some of us, by the nature of our objective, in my case, it is to fight hunger and build resilient communities. We need to keep collaborating with other social enterprises that are in our field. Will we be able to continue doing that even as this Land Accelerator is going on?
Of course, yes. So participating in this accelerator does not require anyone to stop doing what they're already doing. It's, 2 hours a week and then a little bit of homework on the side. So we hope that you'll be able to continue your work while you're going through this. And we also hope that our meetings will help make your work stronger and help make your team stronger.
Great.
Now,
And we
Yes, Azela. Did you have a follow-up question, Izela?
Oh, I was saying that, and can we even forge more collaborations with others on this network? Because I've realized that people are doing things that we could still learn a lot from. Maybe even make some of our Tuesday changes from those.
Sure. I mean,
ideas.
maybe, I don't know, Luni, do you want to have a chat about that?
Yeah, so absolutely, of course. That's one of the benefits of doing this in a cohort as opposed to trying to do this one company at a time. Put your asks out on Mighty Networks as an ask of what you want from others so that they can respond to you. And there'll be other opportunities where you can make asks of the group as well.
Thank you.
Then we see 2 more hands up. I'll go first with Gbenga and then followed by Dr. Afolabi. So Gbenga, would you like to ask your question by unmuting yourself?
Okay, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Benga Ojo. I'm from Nigeria. One of the questions I wanted to ask has been asked as regards the assignment given by Luni. I wanted to ask that we couldn't get it as he was demonstrating it on the screen. That is there any place about it? That one has been answered that we can get it from a Mighty network. The second question goes thus: how do we respond to the questions? Is it through our mails or from any of the forum or Mighty network itself? How do we respond or how do we answer the questions? Thank you.
Well, I think these are really great questions that a lot of people will be asking. So as far as responding to the questions, if you check out the links we have here. So the welcome survey is a Google form and you just fill that out. The attendance sheet is also a Google form and you just fill it out. So again, reminding to everybody who's here, fill out that attendance sheet so you get credit for being here today. And then as far as submitting homework, we'll probably put the link to that into Mighty Networks as well. So the way we communicate is going to be a mixture of Google and Mighty Networks. So what you'll find, and Zoom also. So what you'll find is a lot of times when we're collecting information from you, it will be using Google Forms. But you will find the link to the Google Forms here in the chat box during our live meetings. And you'll also find the link in Mighty Networks afterwards as well. So once we put this up, we'll send an email reminding everybody, hey, the homework has been put up, check it out on Mighty Networks. and you'll be able to find it. It's really not going to be difficult. I promise you. Once we put it up, and next week we can have a few minutes dedicated to making sure that everybody can find it on Mighty Networks as well. So we can definitely build some time. Now, I think we had one more question, which was from Dr. Afolabi.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. I'm Dr. Afolabi Abiodun Ademola, co-founder of a Global Life Farm. I'm actually attending the program here in Kampala, in Uganda. I listened to the lecture. It was very good. Thank you very much for that. And also we appreciate for inviting us. But ma, I just want to request, I didn't know whether you said that. The lecture we had today, because we had a problem with the network when we started. If you can assist us, man, to send it to our email and other link that you just talked about, that will go a long way for me, man. Thank you very much for opportunity given to us to attend. Thank you, man.
Let me make sure I understood your question. You're looking for instructions on how to join the Mighty Networks? Was that your, oh, sorry, Dr. Afolabi. Now you're still muted. If you unmute yourself, make sure I understood your question. So if that was his question, and there's other people here who are wondering about Mighty Networks.
Amanda, the question is about the recording of Luni's presentation. He's saying due to network connectivity, he couldn't hear Luni.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, we'll be having the recordings, and we'll be putting the recordings onto Mighty Networks, which will be a very easy way to tell, because every time we have a recording, we'll organize it by date. And so you'll be able to easily access it even on your phone. Once you set up Mighty Networks on your phone, you can download as an app if you've got some bandwidth on your phone. And you can even watch the recording straight from your phone or your computer. So we'll be doing that. And we'll send an email once it's been uploaded, probably tomorrow.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the response. I appreciate.
Thank you too. So this looks like we've got a lot of questions answered. I wonder if I could just pass the microphone to Samuel or to Teiko or Luni, perhaps in that order, for any final remarks before we might say goodbye today.
Yes, thank you so much, Amanda, and what a day, and it's my hope that we'll continue this way. The journey has started to greater heights, so I encourage the entrepreneurs to be here all through. If you're not able to join for one reason or another, feel free to reach out to me or Amanda, and we'll be able to take that into consideration. Just to mention that we do have a syllabus that we be going through, and we'll be able to share this with you. So feel free, kindly register, make sure you register, because the same email is what we are going to use, and also to be able to share what was not clear. So thank you so much, and all the very best.
All right, and I'll close up with a repeat of the remarks from the head of WRI who spoke earlier. This is one of those opportunities in your life where we're gonna drop a bunch of different things on you. We're gonna drop a bunch of lessons and homework and forms to fill out and things to do, and it's totally up to you whether you do it or not. Right? We're gonna ask you over and over. We may nag you a bit to do it, but ultimately it's totally up to you on whether you do any of these things. And I will tell you from experience, if this is the 18th session of this program, that the people who dive in and put their shoulder into it and try and extract as much value out of the program as possible get much more value out of the program than those that just show up. So if you just come here for 2 hours a week or 2.5 hours a week, you meet some people, you listen, and then the rest of the week you don't do anything, you will get out a tiny bit. You will get something out of the program. But if you do all the homework, if you rewatch some of the videos that you didn't understand, if you do some additional reading when we drop some additional reading on you, If you ask questions, if you think about what's going to happen according to the syllabus before you show up and have questions pre-prepared, you'll get your questions answered. You'll get way more out of this program. You'll get 10 times more than if you just show up. So please, do the work, even though it's not required. But go find the Tuesday assignment. Go make that part of your company. Go see what that feels like. See if that works for you. Do that, and most of you will have a much better company in the next month.
Fantastic. And just also want to pass the mic to Teko.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. This was one of the most exciting evenings for myself and the African Union Development Agency, NEPAD. I would like to encourage our Francophone participants to not be discouraged. Do write your questions if you need to ask anything. We have put together a formidable team that will make this cohort very successful. And we do want to see a majority of you all proceed to the top 10 that will take place later this year. So I'm wishing you all the best. We are here for you. If you also need anything, follow the WRI's Restore Forward on Twitter and the AFR 100 official for some of our activities between the two organizations. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Teko. And the social media shout out is always appreciated. We'll include all of our social medias in our next email to you that's coming tomorrow. So thank you guys so much. Be sure to register on Mighty Networks, and we'll be communicating there, and you'll get to see everybody and all sorts of profiles about everybody there too. So thank you again.
Can you also say everyone, people for more collaboration, can each one follow every other person, and then the main handles on Twitter and on Facebook, so you can create a synchronized communication system where even if a few people broadcast something, a large number of people can see it. So that should help like the collaborative communication on a more social level, please. This is Tabi Joda speaking.
Yeah, definitely. We want everybody to be able to be communicating outside of this program, which is why we're having Mighty Networks and why we'll be sharing our other Twitter accounts as well, so everybody can join.
Yes, and I would like to suggest, perhaps in my capacity as an ambassador, that it should be an obligation for everyone who is the cohort to follow everyone. We can't function in isolation, and which has been one of the challenges I've noticed in a couple of other cohorts. And then the main handles like WIR, the FR 100, and the other main handles should have feeds from every other person who is in the cohort, so we don't function in isolation. If the entrepreneurs are really passionate about what they want to do, it will also help the WIR, it will also help the AFR 100 and other partners to be able to assimilate the kind of views, and to have a facility, or to have this communication being facilitated by us, so that communication should not only come from you. If a communication is coming from you at the head, then we should facilitate, circulate it around, either retweeting or copy. Good. So I think
it's not just coming from us. The communication is coming from
yes,
all directions.
Absolutely.
From all 100 directions.
All angles, to show synchrony, to show harmonization, and to show collaborative working together. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And with that, we will see you next, and we'll start our office hours next Thursday as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so
much. You're welcome.
Yeah,
Bye.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Ciao.
Bye-bye.